Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. A lot of people in Maine. Boy, it's a nice crowd. In 24 days, we are going to win the state of Maine, and we are going to win back the White House. Make sure you get your absentee ballots in. Get them in as soon as you can. Together, we're going to deliver real change that puts, once again, America first. My economic agenda can be summed up, and this is so important, 3 very simple words. Are you ready? Jobs, jobs, jobs. We're going to renegotiate our absolutely terrible trade deals, end illegal immigration, stop the massive inflow of refugees, reduce surging crime, cut taxes and regulations, lift the restrictions on American energy, end Common Core, and repeal and replace the disaster known as Obamacare. We are also going to replace a failed political class that has betrayed our workers, spent trillions on endless foreign wars without victory, and destroyed our middle class. Your jobs will come roaring back under a Trump administration. Your incomes will go up under a Trump administration. Your taxes will go way down under a Trump administration. And crooked Hillary is lifting your taxes way up. Your energy bills will go way down under a Trump administration. Your companies won't be leaving Maine under a Trump administration. Not anymore. They're not going to be leaving. We're going to be a rich country again. We're also going to end government corruption. Hillary speaks in secret to Goldman Sachs, sharing a private position, then lies to you, the public, with her public position. And by the way, WikiLeaks just came out with lots of really unbelievable things just minutes ago. In fact, I almost delayed this speech by about 2 hours. It's so interesting. But I decided you're more important than anybody, okay? It's all a big, beautiful fraud. Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails after a congressional subpoena. That's after she got a congressional subpoena, she deleted 33,000 emails. She lied to Congress under oath. She made 13 iPhones disappear, some with a hammer. And now we're learning 2 boxes of email evidence and other things are mysteriously missing. The WikiLeaks documents show that the Clinton campaign was colluding directly with the Department of State and Justice to the investigation and on the investigation of her emails and her illegal server that put our national security at grave risk. Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted and gone to jail for what she did. The FBI and the Department of Justice created a fraud in allowing Hillary Clinton to get away with her terrible, terrible crimes. And I guarantee you, the Clintons are laughing at them right now. The director's performance in Congress, coupled with Bill Clinton's clandestine meeting on the tarmac with the Attorney General's airplane and in the plane just prior to decision time on Hillary, supposedly talking about golf and grandchildren, which takes about 3 minutes out of the 39 minutes, is one of the lowest points in the history of the Justice Department and in the history of the FBI. Instead of being held accountable, Hillary is running for president in what looks like to many people a totally rigged election. The election is being rigged by corrupt media pushing false allegations and outright lies in an effort to elect Hillary Clinton president. But we are going to stop it. We are not going to back down. False stories, all made up. Lies, lies. No witnesses, no nothing. All big lies. It's a rigged system. And they take these lies and they put them on front pages. This is a rigged system, folks. But we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. We are seeing what's going on. We've only just begun to fight. Americans have had it with the years and decades of Clinton corruption. And that's what it is. You go back to Whitewater or the cattle buy. You remember the cattle buy? The cattle buy. What a disgrace that was. This will finally be the year the American people say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Speaking in secret to a foreign bank, Hillary Clinton said her dream is for total open trade and open borders. There go the rest of your jobs. There go the rest of your jobs. Hillary and Bill raised millions of dollars from global interest groups who have no allegiance to our country or our workers whatsoever. They couldn't care less. By open trade, she means foreign countries can cheat us out of millions of jobs and trillions of dollars. By open borders, she means totally unlimited immigration pouring into our country. Either we win the election or we lose the country. And this is the last time we have, this is it, November 8th, this is it. We're going to either win or we're going to have a whole different country. And it's never going to come back. It never comes back. Thank you. Hillary's plan includes an open border with the Middle East, meaning generations of radicalism within our shores. She refuses to mention the term radical Islamic terrorism. Obama refuses to use that term. And unless you're going to define a problem, you're never going to solve it, and she will never solve it. If you remember, ISIS came out of a vacuum while she was Secretary of State. Came right out of a vacuum in Iraq. The way they got out, should have never been in the war in the first place, but we were. But the way they got out was disgraceful, and ISIS formed. And now she's saying, I will beat ISIS. So ISIS started from nothing, and now they're in 32 different countries. Way to go, Hillary. Great job. Everything she touches turns bad. Just take a look at her record. And if she's president, this country is going to go for a ride downward like we've never seen. It'll be 4 more years of an incompetent president. Barack Obama was an incompetent president. It'll be 4 more years of an incompetent president. How about the Iran deal where they gave them $400 million in cash? How about that? But the $400 million wasn't $400 million. It was $1.7 billion in cash. That would fill up this side of the arena, these people. How about the 800 people, bad ones, that were going to be deported. You know, to be deported from this country, you got to be bad, because we don't deport. You got to be bad. So they had 800 people going to be deported, but they made a mistake. And they became United States citizens instead. Made a mistake. Now, why did they make that mistake, folks? You know, in Maine, I have great friends in Maine. They're very streetwise. Even though you have the most beautiful surroundings probably in the world, they're very streetwise. You really do. You also have a big plot of land up here, I'll tell you. But they're very streetwise, very smart people. My friends are very smart people. So why do you think the 800 people went from being deported into being citizens? Do you know what that is? Okay, but they were wrong, because it wasn't 800. It turned out to be 1,800, okay? Citizens. So I said, undo it. Undo it. They said, well, that wouldn't be constitutional. How stupid are we? Hey, how stupid are we? How stupid are we? We have not anymore. You're right. Not anymore. That stuff won't be happening, I promise you. She wants us to follow the path of France and Germany and import terrorism directly into the United States. So with all of the people coming in, we're going to have problems like you wouldn't believe. You just watch. And she wants 550% more coming in from Syria than the thousands and thousands that our president, quote, president, has coming in. So let me state this as clearly as I can. If I'm elected president, I'm going to keep radical Islamic terrorists the hell out of this country. We love our country. It'll all be America first. America first. We will also stop the crisis of illegal immigration. A Trump administration will secure and defend our borders. And yes, we will build the wall. And Mexico will pay for the wall, 100%. 100%. We have the first ever endorsement from our ICE and Border Patrol officers and agents. First ever. First time they've ever endorsed a presidential candidate. And both the Border Patrol agents and ICE have just done it. ICE did it last week. It was just reported that a man deported from our country 10 times in 6 years has been charged with the raping of a 12-year-old girl. In August, Texas police arrested a serial illegal immigrant rapist who had been deported 5 times. His victims include a 68-year-old woman with a cane who took his offer to drive. And look, she wanted to drive home. Took the offer to have a drive home. He left her on the side of a dirt road. What kind of a government allows its own people to suffer like we're suffering? And we're suffering. Crime after crime, horror show after horror show. And we're going to have very strong borders, and we're going to have the wall. But we're going to have people come into our country. We want them, but they're going to come into our country legally. Legally. They're going to come in legally. As Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton allowed thousands and thousands of criminal aliens to be released because their home countries wouldn't take them back. That's because their home countries are smart. I promise you don't want to. They have a killer. They want to bring them back to a certain country. The country says, we don't want them. We're not taking them. Turn your plane around. Get out of here. We're not taking them. You're not landing. You're not. Get out of here. Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. She said, okay, we'll take them. I promise you that won't happen once, not once. Those countries are taking their people, drug lords, gang members. those countries are taking those people back. Among those she allowed to go free was a criminal alien who had previously been convicted for shooting a girl in the head. After his release, he viciously murdered a young girl named Casey Chadwick in Connecticut. You probably read about it. A wall will not only keep out criminals, but it will also keep out the drugs and heroin from pouring into Maine and poisoning your youth. And I just left New Hampshire, and like New Hampshire, you have a tremendous drug problem. Drug overdoses in Maine are on at a record pace. I've outlined today a detailed plan to stop the opioid crisis. My plan begins with a strong border. It includes the prosecution of drug dealers and dramatically expands access to life-saving treatments that will help people unchain themselves from this terrible, terrible, and very hard to get rid of addiction. And there are ways of doing it. But if we're going to bring back hope to suffering Americans, we must also solve our jobs and economic crisis, because we have a tremendous jobs crisis. So many of our jobs have gone to Mexico, have gone to places like China indirectly because they make our product. We used to make our product. We don't make things anymore, relatively speaking. At the center of our economic revival, we'll be fixing our terrible trade deals. 47 million Americans are in poverty, and 45 million Americans are on food stamps right now. 70 million American women and children live in poverty or on the brink of poverty. This is the United States we're talking about. We have nearly $800 billion as an annual trade deficit in goods with the world, and the worst so-called recovery by far since the Great Depression. This is the legacy of Obama-Clinton. And by the way, when Hillary Clinton ran for the Senate in New York, she was going to produce 200,000 jobs in upstate New York, which is a disaster area. After she got elected, it was bye-bye. That's the end of upstate New York. It's a disaster to this day. She didn't produce then, and she won't produce now. When I'm president, everything will change. The word change is an important word, isn't it? We need change. Can you imagine 4 more years of Obama? Oh. And he shouldn't be campaigning. All this guy does is campaign. He campaigns. His wife campaigns. You know what? We need jobs. We need lower taxes. We need a protected Second Amendment, which they don't want to do. We will move people from the welfare rolls to the employment rolls with great jobs and high-paying jobs. We will end our chronic trade deficits, which are massive and getting bigger. We will start growing again. We'll rebuild our roads, bridges, tunnels, railways, hospitals, schools, and airports. The state of Maine has lost nearly 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs since NAFTA, signed by Bill Clinton and supported by crooked Hillary. Since China entered the World Trade Organization, another Bill Clinton disaster, also backed by Hillary, 70,000, and I thought this was a typographical error. I said, it can't be 70,000. We went back, it's 70,000. I thought 7,700 must be a mistake. 70,000 factories have shut down or left the United States. You know. You know. That's 15 factories closing a day on average. Can you believe it? 15 a day in the country. We're living through the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. What's happened to our country is the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. There's never been a thing like happened to our country. And I will stop it. If I win, day one, we're going to announce our plans to totally renegotiate the disaster known as NAFTA. If we don't get the deal we want, we'll leave NAFTA and start over again and make much better trade deals. I like trade. I'm for trade. I'm for free trade. But it has to also be fair trade. But I'm for trade where things benefit our country, where jobs come back to our country also. We want a two-way highway, not a one-way. Right now we have a one-way highway right into Mexico. We get unemployment and we get drugs. They get cash, they get jobs, and they get factories. Not going to be that way anymore, folks. We're going to start making things again in America. As part of our plan to bring back our jobs, we're going to lower our business tax from 35% to 15%, which is almost getting to be the record low. And by the way, 35%, major countries, 35%, the highest anywhere in the world. We will lower taxes massively on all Americans. Hillary will raise taxes and raise your taxes by a lot. That's what she plans to do. Just take a look. Our biggest reductions will be for the working and middle class. This includes letting parents deduct the cost of childcare. Reagan's tax cuts in the 80s and Kennedy's tax cuts in the 60s brought us tremendous growth. My economic reforms on taxes, trade, regulation, and American energy will produce at least 25 million jobs over the next decade. It's the most pro-growth economic plan in American history, and it's gotten some wonderful reviews. We're also going to protect the right of people and the people of Maine to use their own land. You know what we're talking about. President Obama, with the support of politicians like Hillary Clinton, issued an executive order 2 months ago making over 87,000 acres in Maine into a new national monument. That's a lot of acres, I'll tell you. No consideration was made for local concerns, impacts on jobs, or the Maine forestry sector, which is such an important, it's just like so important for you. And nobody even thought of it. Nobody even thought. They don't care about you. No approval by Congress. Your state legislature totally opposed it. It's just another federal outreach that's going to do much more harm, much more harm than it is good. And it's made a lot of people in Maine very angry because the people of Maine have great common sense. Give me a break. What are they doing? Obama and Clinton don't care that this area badly needs jobs and growth, and that this decision, done at the stroke of a pen without the support of the local community, undermines the people that live and work right here in Maine. That's a bad, bad bill. But we're going to turn it all around. Believe me. America's comeback begins on November 8th. We're going to have a big, big comeback. Here are some of the amazing things we're going to do for our country starting in 2017. We're going to have the biggest tax cut since Ronald Reagan. We're going to eliminate all of that horrible, job-killing, unnecessary regulation. We are going to defend religious liberty, which is under siege. We're also going to get rid of the Johnson Amendment. You know what that is. We're going to reduce the cost of college tuition. Big league. We're going to provide school choice to every low-income child in America. School choice. And by the way, we're going to get rid of Common Core. We're bringing our education local. We're going to rebuild our depleted military. Our great, great people have equipment that's ancient. And we are going to take care of properly our incredible veterans. We are going to support the men and women of law enforcement. Great people. We will, I am so looking forward to this, repeal and replace Obamacare. Save the Second Amendment. The National Rifle Association endorsed Donald Trump, the earliest endorsement, NRA, they've ever given to a presidential candidate. We're going to save your Second Amendment. We are going to appoint justices to the United States Supreme Court who will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. You have 24 days to make every dream you ever dreamed for your country, for your children, for your family come true. On November 8th, the arrogance of Washington, D.C. will come face to face with the righteous verdict of the American voter, which is you. I am going to be fighting for the inner cities, for the African Americans, for the Hispanic Americans. We're going to turn around our inner cities. I'm going to be fighting for people from every background at every stretch of this nation. I'm going to fight for every child living in poverty. I'm going to fight for every mom who lost her child to illegal immigration and drugs and gang violence. I'm going to fight for every worker who deserves a raise. People haven't had raises in years in our country. People made more money 20 years ago than they're making right now. And right now, they're working 2 jobs. Part of it is Obamacare. It's been a disaster. But now they're older, they're working 2 jobs, and they're making less money. But I'm working harder now, too, so I don't feel so guilty. We're going to have jobs for every community. And dreams have really been, I will tell you, dreams have been ripped out from your hearts. We are going to bring back the American dream again. People are going to start dreaming, and we're going to have back the American dream. It's coming back. I'm going to fight for every person in this country who believes government should serve the people, not the donors. I'm going to fight for every patriotic citizen that Hillary Clinton slanders as deplorable and irredeemable. And I'm going, oh, you don't look deplorable to me. You look very good. I think irredeemable is worse, right? Irredeemable means it's like over. Nah, she's a bad person, got a bad heart. I'm going to be a president for all of our citizens, all of our citizens. I'm going to fight to bring us together as Americans. We're a very, very divided country right now. We are going to be brought together. Imagine what our country could accomplish if we started working together as one people, under one God, saluting one American flag. One American flag. You're going to look back at this rally for the rest of your life. You're going to remember this day in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. This is a movement like nobody in this country has ever seen before. We're going to make history together. You're going to look back at this election on November 8th and say it is by far the most important vote that you have ever cast. Once again, we're going to have a government of, by, and for the people. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America powerful again. We will make America strong again. We will make America great again. Thank you all. Thank you very much. God bless you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.